Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Dose of Truth Tarot with me, Terry-Ann Nikitas. It is the week of August 15th to the 21st in the year 2025. So I'm going to use the Weird World Tarot this week. So we had a reading last week that was going to take its time to unfold, whether we're going through some kind of transition and we need to sort of get the mind and our thoughts anchored because there's a lot of fire going on. Fire is not a problem, as I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's not a problem. It's good energy. It's dynamic. It's active. But we do need to get an anchor on the mind when it gets stimulated. So here we're going to look at what's going to influence us this week. What are some of the positives that we can use to our benefit? What are the negatives that we might want to look out for, or just figure that those are the conflicts or aspects that we want to work through, let's say. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, sorry, my collar's annoying me back. All right, so I shuffled, and this is the Weird World deck. It's really nice, very, very pretty, but it can be quite dark. So I use, as most of you know, I use my left hand, turn to the left, and the World card comes up. That's on the outside. So this is a card that is in the part that I'm not going to use, but it does tell us that the world has been opened up to us. So that kind of tells me, all right, the transition that we've been kind of walking into over the last bit and going to continue looking at over the next while. We need to kind of see what that will give us as an opening to whatever it is that you want. If you're looking for more opportunities, you want more abundance in your life, you could want more relaxation, you want more peace, more quiet, whatever it is that needs to open up to you. All right, so the first one is Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups is an offering. It's oftentimes referred to as an offering of love. It's an offering of affection. It's an offering of acceptance. And as you can see, usually there's a fish that is in there. So fish is often represented as that abundance, and fish is in water. So water is emotional as well. So we're going to look towards seeing that abundance is there, but we might need to calm the emotions down at times. And the only reason I say that is not because of the card, but because of the reading that is influencing this week as well. And here we have, need those glasses, right? Okay. Here we have the Three of Wands. So there's your fire. Again, as you notice, they're rather dark cards. So this Three of Wands is giving us that energy of development, growth, in the arena of fire. So that is creativity. Now, it's so interesting in this deck that there are three, faces that are sculpted looking down on us. So it looks as though we are looking up at those possible opportunities that are in our grasp, but they look back at us, and they could look back at us a little bit ominously. So it's kind of that cautionary note: be careful what you ask for. Whatever you ask for, live as though you already have it. It's not something you want to grasp for. It's not something you want to look to the future and say, that's what I'm going to have. If you know anything about manifesting, it's always asking for what it is that you want, but living as though you have it now. So that's a huge piece. And the next one, which we did have last week, is the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man, it kind of notifies us that we may need to make a sacrifice for the thing that we want. And it's also being really cautious not to sacrifice something inappropriate. Like you don't want to, yes, I was going to say something. You don't want to sacrifice your arm or an organ, but of course, sometimes you do want to sacrifice an organ for a loved one. Yeah, if you have a loved one and they need, you know, some of your liver, or they need a little bit of, they need one of your kidneys, or they need a lung, you might give it up, which is fine. That's it's really, that's a really good example, I think, in that we could evaluate what kind of sacrifice we're going to make. So when you look at this week, make sure you're making the appropriate sacrifices to, and we're being very specific, to the dreams and even the people that you're making sacrifices to. Right. So if you're in love with you've met someone new, and your intuition is telling you they're asking a little bit too much from me to sacrifice. Like, let's say this is happening to a lot of people these days, where they meet someone and they fall in love, and we know that falling in love can be equated to insanity, because the mind registers like an insane person when the brain, I mean, registers as an insane person when we fall in love. And remember, it's falling in love. We don't have, the minute we fall in love, we're falling in love with the parts of us that we've disassociated, like things that you do not honor within yourself, love within yourself. You might see it in the other person, and you feel like, oh wow, this person loves me perfectly and unconditionally with the way I am. And then after time, the veneer falls, right? In this case, what we're looking at is if you're in love and you're making those sacrifices, you might do it no matter what. I've seen it over and over and over again. There's no way to convince someone not to make that sacrifice. Now, professionally, I couldn't, I'm not allowed to convince someone not to make that sacrifice. I can only, tell them what is going to happen, and you choose what you want to do. Most people will tell me, no, that's not going to happen to me, Terry Ann. No way, it's not going to happen to me. You don't get it. You don't know. It's like, okay, that's fine. And then inevitably it happens, and they're kind of, oh, how did you know? Well, because you've fallen in love and you can't see things clearly. And most anyone, you don't need a tarot card reader. You don't need anyone to let you know that certain things are not going to work out. Now, you can tell me, yes, but I know someone who did do something really extreme that I thought, would never work. Like, met a man and gave him $100,000, and they lived happily ever after. Yeah, sure. The exception, as you know, makes the rule. That's not the point, are the exceptions. It's really understanding that, when somebody calls you or meets up with you, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are or unbeautiful you are or whatever, you meet someone in a foreign country who's poverty stricken, and they want to come to your world. They love it that you marry them and bring them to your country. And of course, this is a little different for women and a little different for men. So men, the woman might stay. She's going to feel secure. If he's got money and he treats her well, she would probably more than likely stay. But there's still scams there, but less frequent, I would say, than men. This is my experience. I didn't look it up statistically, but we know that a lot of people get scammed. But for women, this is happening quite often, where women, will bring someone in and, oops, now I'm in big trouble. So those are sacrifices you don't want to make for love. You don't want to give everything away, so that even if it's sex, you don't want to give it all away until you know for sure this is the right person. Of course, most people are not going to listen to that, so I can say it. I feel as though I'm saying all that to air, and people are going, well, you don't know and you don't understand. Believe me, I've heard it all. heard it all. But you've been forewarned, and forewarned is forearmed, and that doesn't mean you have to reject everything or be totally skeptical or anything like that. All you need to do is ensure that you are protected. Ensure that if you give away, let's say you give away $100,000, let's say you give away $1,000, let's say you give away $10, be sure that you can lose it. Just go, yeah, I'm very happy to give it away. If it's a risk, that's fine. I don't need to worry about that money, whatever it is, or whatever you're giving away, whether it's your virtue or whatever you're able to do, as long as you make that commitment that you're making that sacrifice, and it's going to be okay. Yeah. We could go on and on about sacrifice. Yes, I can talk about this forever, because sacrifice, appropriate sacrifices versus inappropriate sacrifices, they really have a powerful difference. Just saying, okay, I'm going to forego buying, I don't know, what do you call it, organic food this week because it's really expensive, so I can buy that dress. Okay, that's fine. You can make that sacrifice. That's just fine. But those aren't the sacrifices I'm really talking about. That's more of a evaluation. Sacrifice is for the future, right? It's for something that is going to come in the future. You're giving up something in the present for the future. That's something very different. And when you're looking towards your future, because this part is to the future, and what you would like to build and create, and this one says, all right, you got to really evaluate the sacrifice, or you can be the hanged man, right? So as we know, that the big hanged man that we talk about most of all in the world is Jesus Christ. He's hung on the cross. He sacrifices himself for humanity. Great symbol, right? That's something that could be worthwhile. Another one is Socrates. He sacrifices himself for the truth. Yeah. So Socrates is given hemlock, and he's told to take back his words, let's say. And no, he's not going to do it. He's not going to go back on his words. Then there's Sir Thomas More is another one. Didn't he take? I think he took poison as well. You can look that up. These are like incredible stories of sacrifice that have always, brought a tear to my eye, where someone would honor the truth so much that they would give up their lives. Now you could say, what did it do for them? Well, if you think about Socrates, this is before zero, right? What is it? AD, antediluvian, is that it? Instead of BC, right? We're 2,000 some odd years, 2,300 years post. I think that's approximately the time frame post Socrates, and here I am deeply influenced by his sacrifice. Sir Thomas More, let's say it was the 1800s, I think, deeply influenced. Christ, deeply influenced by that sacrifice. Who could do such a thing? Whether, even if it's just a story and it's not a real person, doesn't really matter. What matters is this idea of sacrifice, and it being great, and it influencing us through thousands and thousands of years. I'm sure you could bring up many cultural ideas of sacrifice that have continued down through time, where we make those sacrifices for the future. So if Socrates is making a sacrifice for the future, it's not just me he's influenced, but he had a huge impact on me, and had an impact on history of many people, and how they look at the world, right? All right. I love this card. It's so much fun to talk about sacrifice and evaluate what we need to sacrifice to make life better, and what we do not need to sacrifice. What sacrifices can be silly, stupid, egocentric, like when you see a mother say, oh, you know, I did everything for you and now I'm alone. Okay, so she's saying she sacrificed, but she sacrificed not for the child. She sacrificed so she would have the companionship later on in life, not for the child, not for the continuation, so that the child has a better life, which is to me a weird sacrifice. I'm going to make a sacrifice to my child so my child takes care of me. It's really nice if they do. It's really nice if that happens, but they get to choose. You can't seal the deal. You make a sacrifice so that you're binding your progeny to you. That's ridiculous. They might do it. They might have a great, successful life that they can take care of everybody. Fantastic. You hear those things happening all the time. But it wouldn't necessarily be a sacrifice on their part, right? If you send your kid to school, they make a lot of money, and then they can take care of you. Wonderful. They're not even making a sacrifice. They've been so successful that they can find the proper sacrifices to their children, and they can, take care of the people that they love because they love them. That's great. But not to bind a person into that kind of deal, right? You don't want to. That's not a real sacrifice. That's what is that? That's a manipulation. Yes. Okay, so there we go. I think that's good for this week. I hope you enjoy that. Let me know if you want me to do anything, cover anything. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm not doing very much to promote, so I kind of rely on, hey, I'm giving this to the world, and maybe my gift to the world will be returned as a gift. It's not a sacrifice. I'm doing this because I like it. It's fun and it's a nice gift. And hopefully it'll be fun for you to share it. All right. Have a great week. Bye.